Hey, good morning. Well, it's been a while since I've done an update. I've got some footage that I've done. I did probably 3 weeks ago. We've had a lot of things going on. Summertime's busy. Anyway, the footage is going to be of me working on, I think, the center console, but it's way out of date. It's been quite a while. I have been working on the Buggy for, I don't know, the last 3 weeks. I've been trying to put in at least a couple hours every day on this thing, and then, work on the weekends if we're not busy doing stuff. But I've got quite a bit done that I didn't document on video. So I'm gonna turn you around and show you what we've done here. So we're still working on interior stuff. You can see I got the center console all done. It's all mocked up, ready to go. I test fit the dash, or the Holly dash, the digital instrument panel. I've got a slot over there on the right of it. That's for the pumper, the helmet pumper, the fresh air system. The big hole in the right, I'll put some photos up too, but the big hole on the right, lower right and middle right, is for the battery switch. And then there'll be a switch pros there. Down at the bottom of that center panel, I've got some louvers for ventilation. You can see that I made here in the shop with a 3D printed die set. Worked out pretty good. Took me a minute to figure out how to do it, but I made that louver panel removable so that I could put a solid panel on it to pass tech, just in case, because they don't want any penetrations in your firewall. I don't know how crucial that will be, because I have the inner doghouse structure behind it, which I still need to work on a little bit. The shifter base is right there. I've got the shifter taken out because I was working around stuff. But this is all done. And then, as you can see, I got my steering column in. And I got that all figured out. I got the orbital mocked up. Made a bracket for it to drop it. It gets pretty tight in here. In fact, one of the set screws on one of the universal joints collides with the one part of the brake pedal assembly when I have the brakes fully engaged. So I'm gonna have to trim that set screw down a little bit. Then, of course, we got the dash panels. The dash panels are all mocked up and fitted up. I've just got to finish the passenger side over there, and that's what I'm going to be doing in the video this morning. This little angle in here and this little filler piece that comes down and joins in this corner section. I've got to do that on the passenger side. You can see this one needs a little bit more work. When I came in here and burned this in, I kind of burned away some of the material, so I need to add a little bit of material right in here just to make that a better line. Shouldn't be that big of a deal, but you think it won't be a big deal, and then you go to do it, and sometimes it doesn't work out for you. I'm getting a lot more comfortable with aluminum, though. I'm getting a lot more comfortable welding it and figuring out my amperage and my heat settings and just the control of the puddle and stuff. It's quite a bit different than welding steel. Not that I'm the best at it anyway, but so yeah. So we'll go over here to the other side and I'll show you what I'm doing over here. We got quite a bit of work done in the last couple of weeks. Made this overhead radio mount for the race radio and the intercom set. So that's up there and out of the way. Originally I was gonna put it down here in the dash, but I didn't like having it down low. It was behind the shifter and stuff. It'd be hard to get to. And up here is, I think, a really good area to put it. The co-driver can access it as well, can see it. You don't have to bend over, you can just look up and grab it. So tilt steering column, I really kind of like the way this has worked out and mocked up. I don't care for this, I don't know how you would put it, spindly look of it, because it's just basically the 3/4 inch steering shaft, which is what I have in my old buggy, but it just looks, I don't know, it just looks not weak. It looks weak. It doesn't look strong. It doesn't look stout. I don't really like that part, but I don't think there's anything I can do unless I extend this adjuster rod out this way and put some sort of a larger column on it. It doesn't need it. Structurally, it's fine. It's not appealing. It doesn't fit with the rest of the build. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but yeah, so got that mocked up. That's in there. Steering wheel, quick disconnect is in there. Anyway, I still need to finish welding all that stuff in, but it's all tacked in. We'll go over to the other side and I'll show you what I did, what I'm working on today. So here's the panel on the opposite side. I've got to weld in this triangle and put a brake in here to follow these brakes. This has been fun. I've been enjoying doing the paneling. It's been a challenge, but I've learned a lot, and I think I'm improving. I'm getting better and faster with it. So when I get this done in here, I may either go to mocking up the steering reservoir and working on engine compartment stuff, or what I'll probably do is pull the seats and keep on working on paneling and start working on the rear firewall. So, yeah. So here we go. All right, so here's my little filler piece. There'll be a brake in here. I can't really hold this with one hand, but here I've got this folded over. And that's where the brake will be. I'm gonna weld that, fit it up. I got it laid out on some sheet metal here, some aluminum. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out on the bandsaw, and then I'll start working this angle in here and get it fit up, and then we'll go to welding. All right, so I got my piece in here and I got it all fitted up. Got good fit up here and here. Now I need to mark where I want to put my bend, because this side here is going to bend down toward the tube. So about right there, right there. And this wing might be a little bit too tall by the time I bend it, so I might have to trim it down. But this is kind of what I'm going to work with here. And we'll go over to the brake. So what I need to do is I need to bend it on this underside, so I'm just going to take my marks and transfer them to the back side. So then I've got where the bends need to go, or the corners need to line up on the brake. We'll go over to the brake and we'll bend it. Just eyeballing it. That might be too much bend, but if it is, I can come back over here and just tap it down a little bit where it's less. We'll go back over there and fit it up. See what it looks like. So that wasn't enough. So I'm going to put a little bit more in it, and I'll be right back. Like that's about perfect. So after I get this welded in, I'll trim this corner out and line this up so it's all nice and flat. Now this is something I should have done on the other side. I should have done it this way, but I did not. So just learning as I go. That's part of the deal here. So here we go. So for weld prep, what I found is I have a dedicated wire wheel that I put on my drill. It's dedicated to aluminum. You don't want to cross up metals. When you're using aluminum, you only want to use your wire wheel on the same aluminum. You don't want to use it on steel or anything else, because then what it'll do is it'll contaminate your aluminum when you go to use it again, and you won't have as clean of a weld. So I'm just going to go in here and just clean up this edge with the wire wheel. And also, because this edge on this panel is a plasma cut edge, I'm going to go in with my file and just make sure I have any of the oxidation or anything from the plasma cutter taken off of there. So that's nice. That's a nice and shiny edge. Okay. Then I'm going to come back with my acetone and I'm going to clean up these edges. Try to give myself the best chance possible of having a nice clean weld. Okay, so I got that cleaned up. It's still pretty dirty, but that's going to be good enough for what we're doing. I'm going to put the acetone away. And we'll get the welder set up. So I got that tacked up just on this one angle. We'll take it back over there and fit it up and make sure that this is positioned correctly. I might need to bend it down some. We'll see. Well, that looks pretty good. The only thing I need to do is push this corner down. So I think if I put a clamp right there on this corner and then tack this on this joint, it'll be fine. And then we'll go ahead and get to fully welding it out.
Just need to clean up this area right in here a little bit. Probably cut this off, come down this way with the sander, just sand that in. I like it. I think it'll be just fine. I want to clean up this shininess right here. There's still some pretty dark or deep grooves in there from the rough sanding, but I'll hit it again with the orbital and get this kind of cleaned up and blended in. All right, so we got that passenger side panel dialed. Now I'm trying to figure out how I want to fasten these panels. So I have the driver's side panel and the passenger panel taken off. And my idea is to build, not to build, but to add Dzus fasteners to all these panels because I want them to be quick and easy to remove. So I've got these self-ejecting and retained Dzus fasteners that I want to put in the panels, like in here. This side here, this edge that's on the sort of on the firewall, the front firewall tube, is going to be really simple because it's fairly flat right here. However, the front edge, because I have the break in it and it's built up off this tube quite a bit, I'm not going to be able to just use a standard Dzus tab right there. So I'm going to have to fabricate something of my own that cantilevers off of this tube and then comes in right underneath this surface here. I don't want it pulling back on this surface because I feel like if I just put the tab like right here, it might pull the panel back that way. I'm not sure. I might try it and see first. I might be just making things way more difficult than they need to be, but we'll try both ways first and we'll see. I think I'll start over on the passenger side because I don't have all this stuff here to worry about getting weld spatter and stuff on. So we'll go over that side and work at that side. So here's the conundrum. It would be way simpler to put the tab back behind this break or this angle. So the tab would basically just go right in there like that. But the problem is that tab sits so high, this fastener would be way up here at that break. It'd be way up here at that break in the panel, like it'd be way up by this corner, this edge. And I don't like that look. I don't want to see the fasteners on this front edge, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make a tab that cantilevers out and hits this surface here, which it shouldn't be too bad. I'm just gonna have to fabricate something up. I'll probably fabricate it out of 16 gauge and then I'll bend it. But yeah, I think that's what I'll do. All right, so here's a bracket I made. Just cut a bunch of them out on the plasma table. It took me a while to get the right height and everything that I wanted, but that's basically going to go like that. And then you got your Dzus fastener, or your Dzus spring will go right here on the back side of that. The only thing I need to do is figure out how much of a relief I need to put or a hole, how big of a hole I need to put here, because these self-ejecting fasteners they dimple into the panel. So I might have to drill that hole out a little bit more. We'll see. All right, so here is a little test panel I did with the countersunk and captured spring-loaded Dzus fastener. So not only does the hole in the panel need to be countersunk, see how it's countersunk, but because of that countersink, this is a regular Dzus tab that you can buy. It's all stamped steel. This center hole has got to be way bigger, and I didn't account for that when I was building my little brackets. So this is what the bracket looks like. You can see the hole in the center is way bigger. And then you got the two holes to each side of it that the pop rivets go in for the Dzus fastener spring. But this hole is going to allow that panel to sit way more flush because of that big dome on the back side of the panel. You can see that dome. There's a better perspective probably. My background sucks. You can see that dome there. So with that dome being so big, I also made regular tabs with the larger dome. So that dome will go in there and these panels will hopefully sit a little bit more flush. So now it's time to go ahead and weld these tabs to the chassis. So I'm going to get the chassis cleaned up and start working. All right, so what I've done here is I've got my handy dandy little Dzus tab jigs, and I use them pretty much like normal on these tabs, but on these tabs, since they have a standoff on them, I just used these to sort of hold them up in place, and then I check the angle with the angle finder. So this should be, you know, about 0. And then I got them tacked in. They're a little bit angled downward, but I'm just comparing it to that one. And it's not perfect, but it's okay. What I don't want is I don't want the surface of this to be flush with the underside of this panel, because I need clearance for these rivets. And then the panel will also have rivets on coming through the bottom side to hold that captured fastener. So I think this will work. I'm just going to put tacks in 4 corners on these, and then I probably should go ahead and proceed with, I'm just going to do them all. And then what I need to do is I need to go over and figure out something that I'll probably use the lathe, and a piece that I can turn down and put in here so I can locate the center of this on the panel and transfer that over to the bottom side of the panel so I can drill it. I have something like that for the regular Dzus tabs, but it's not gonna work because this hole is so big. So I'm gonna have to make my own, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this and we'll get it figured out. All right, so I've got all the tabs in, front and back. Now I think they're just tacked in right now. And I think I'm gonna make my center punch thing on the lathe and figure out how I'm gonna transfer these holes so they're centered on the panel.